The Philippine Regional League kind of flew under the radar in the Paradox Rift format because it's a slightly smaller tournament and only just got added to Limitless. But as I was looking through the data, I was really interested in the Lost Zone Charizard EXs that got top 4 and top 8 respectively. I believe there's just 1 or 2 cards difference between them. So I wanted to take this archetype for a spin. I've played it in the past on the channel and really enjoyed this archetype, never actually pulling the trigger on it, taking it to a tournament. But I really like the logic around this archetype, honestly. I've tried to make this a fairly streamlined, simplistic 60, where we are just using early tempo cram pressure. We have Charizard EX as a fantastic type coverage attacker and is honestly one of the best responses that a Lost Zone player can use to Iron Hands. So Charizard EX is just a really, really strong card and actually partners quite well with the Lost Zone engine because we have natural dig towards combo pieces. We get to hold onto a Candy or a Charizard, and we're using the likes of Comfey over and over again and Colress to find the other piece of the combination. So the supporter count actually kind of works with what we're trying to do with the stage 2, surprisingly enough, especially when our goal ideally is really only making like 2 of them throughout a game. Having this 3-3 line with the rods and the 4 rare candy kind of makes that happen quite nicely. It's a really interesting list of the Lost Zone because you don't actually care that much about ramping. You want to get to 4, and that's pretty much your key threshold because we're not using Mirage Gate in the 60, and we're also not using Sableye. Bit of a surprise for some, possibly, but the Sableye does take up a lot of room in the deck list, first of all, although there can be builds with it. And I also think that the matchups where Sableye is good, most people now are attacking Jirachi, I would say. I would very much expect it in Charizard EX mirror match situations, which aren't playing the Lost Zone. I would expect it in a number of Lost Zone boxes themselves, and I would also expect it in a number of Gardevoir. Some will still be playing Crest, Churro, and Collapsed rather than Jirachi, but there might be a number of Guardies that do play the Jirachi, which essentially renders the Sableye not useless, but far less effective. So I feel like just having the efficient attacker of Cram, Charizard as your like 1 prize recycle mons with the super odds is plenty, and Charizard EX is still gonna see you through the majority of the game, and you simply use these guys to offset the prize trade as and when you can. The rest of the deck list is pretty straightforward and simple. We have Boss's Orders at a pretty high count because you are trying to capitalize on your Charizard EX getting high damage output. We have 1 Roxanne, 1 Iono, similar to how Giratina plays oftentimes, and we have a couple gear to try and help us work towards that early Colress so we can get Spit Innocently pressure, and just so that we aren't missing beats throughout the entire game. We're playing a couple copies of Artazon alongside our Nest and VIP Pass to obviously just get our Pokemon into play. We're trying to not only get Cram Comfeys developed, but we're also trying to get at least 1 Charmander down into a number of matchups, and there will be situations where you want 2 copies, so having the Artazons definitely helps out in that regard. And of course we want to have Stadium Bumps in general in the deck list so we can get that Infernal Rain off and unlock our Excited Heart as well. So we're playing 2 copies of the Artazon and 2 copies of Lost Vacuum. This is a really crucial card right now, especially on Bravery Charm against Miraidon players, where they can of course stay out of range with their Iron Hands EX, so you want to be able to vacuum those away, either proactively or after you've hit them for 240. As long as they don't switch cart, you can still catch up later on, which is fantastic. It's increasing our outs to Path in general. It can help us out in the mirror match, getting rid of Vitality and Defiance Band if they're put onto the field early, and also it's a really solid card into the control matchup right now, where we can get rid of Bravery Charms on Snorlax and on Rotoms, which is obviously huge as well. Outside of that, we don't have a huge switching card count. We just have 2 rope, 2 switch, but the full Jet Energy really helps out here as well. Of course, most of the time we're able to pull the basic energies out of our deck with Charizard, so we can spend our manual attachments just cycling with Flower Selecting throughout the entire game, which is a really nice thing to have, and is a really space-efficient way of us getting our ramp for the early Cram hits when required. One of the cards that may stand out is Vitality Band at a 2 count. I think this is a really, really important card actually in the deck list. It serves a number of purposes here. It pushes your Charizard EX to 190, which is actually pretty critical into Rotom V in the controlling matchup. So I really like having this damage model ready, but then it also comes up as allowing you to hit into Pidgeot EX a turn earlier. When your opponent's taken 3 prizes, you would be at 270 damage, so the 10 tick pushes you into range of dealing with Pidgeot EX. If we are seeing an early knockout from like a Chempao or from a Miraidon EX, this can be really important. And it's actually really helpful on Cramorant into the Gardevoir matchup if the opponent is playing the Crest side of things rather than the Jirachi tech, because it allows you to Spit Innocently with Vit Band through Crest as well, which is actually really important because your opponent is going to try and stunt you and leave the Cram in the active spot, so it's actually really nice. So I actually really like the Vitality Band at a 2 count. It makes a lot of sense in the format right now based on what matchups I'm expecting. There are certainly some other cards that I've been considering. I think there easily could be a build that does play Greninja, Sableye, and Mirage Gate like we saw way back at the Barcelona special event a couple months ago, pre-Paradox Rift. I think there's still a lot of logic around that build, and Greninja's just a very powerful card, draws more cards as well, which is always nice for a combo deck effects such as this. So I get the mentality around that build. I could definitely see a counter catcher coming into this deck list. It has great synergy with us having to spam Colress and Roxanne, and we can be a late game threat when needed. We can sort of sit behind on prizes at times, although most of the time we are going tempo cram, I find, more often than not, so I don't always see myself going behind, but it can be a play that we can go for if we've had slower starts. Overall, though, I'm trying to keep things simple. This is a really good engine for tempo, and it can also help us develop at least early Charizard EXs. This may sometimes have a little bit of trouble against late game Ionos, but we are trying to thin the deck quite proactively. Jet Energy still comes on strong in the late game and is great for helping us cherry pick towards those final boss's orders or Colress or whatever we need to close out games as well. So I do feel this is a really powerful package. Of course, Charizard is a very powerful card in general, and having single prizes to accompany it is no bad thing. So hope you enjoyed the deck list. Let me know what you think about Lost Charizard. I actually think it's really well positioned right now, where you naturally cover Mew, Gardevoir, Miraidon quite nicely just with this combination of cards. And I think these are some of the strongest decks in the game. And I think naturally just having early tempo pressure, having Vitality Band and a high gusting count gives you a decent opportunity to be good in the mirror as well. That was certainly the case with the previous list that had Sableye. I think it's less so the case with this 60, but I do think it's still pretty winnable actually in mirror match situations. So I hope you enjoy the games, and let me know your thoughts on the archetype. If you're looking for PTCG live codes, make sure you check out the Potown store. You can get a 5% discount on your orders using that code, OmniPoke. So we get to go first in game number 1 today. We have a Cram start. We don't have much else going for us though, we just have Artazon right now. Could retreat into Comfey and try our best, but this is going to be pretty slow. We actually top deck a Comfey, which is pretty nice. Looks like we're up against Miraidon. Start things off, this is one of our stronger matchups, but the start is quite poor, so got to try and make something happen here. I can pick up a Charizard EX, so I guess I just have to Artazon here for Charmander and hope that Pokégear Colress can get me towards Rare Candy if the opponent is going to have a tempo turn. So yeah, we're kind of on fumes a little bit right now. Let's see what the opponent has. They have obviously their Raikou start, they have Squawkabilly EX, so things are going pretty well for them to kick things off. We see Ultra Ball as well. There goes Raichu and Path. Definitely good to keep an eye on that Raichu because, yes, they have hands pressure, but they also often need to have Raichu as well at some point in the game. That is an Iron Hands EX in the middle of their screen, the Alt Art. We have the Zeraora there following up, as well as the Mareep. The Rope is kind of nice, actually. It could help me dig further with Comfey next turn, so I'll just feed the Cram here, pretty sure. And they can go into the free retreat Zeraora, and then going to see the first generator here. Does get the 1 lightning energy. Oh, second generator. That's a really strong hand for them, actually. Just another energy here. They have the Bravery Charm as well, so everything they could have asked for, as we see the Squawk and Seize for 6. The very intimidating Iron Hands coming in. Just a turn attachment. And an Iono. So, pretty fortunate for us to get a new hand here. Oh, but we're still missing a piece. We have the candies now, but not the Zard parts, and still no supporter. We'll be reliant on the Pokégear. Actually, the second Rope is played as well, so I don't even get the Comfey here. It's a bit scary. I'm going to go into Charmander, though. Draw another rare candy. I want to reset this deck, because at least we know that there's a Charizard that was rooting around towards the top, and we are able to get the Colress, which is pretty nice. We can grab rare candy here. So we'll be swinging for not enough on this Iron Hands because they only took a single prize knockout. They didn't amp you. They just did the arm press. So just going to take the swing here. There's some reason for me to go Jet Energying and Flower Selecting and whatnot. But there wasn't too much I was really looking for this turn, so decided to just hold on to that for now. The opponent's board is pretty full of stuff, and they don't really have any way to get through this Charizard. They are going to be forced into two-shotting it. And if Iron Hands only takes a single prize, we're going to be cruising, right? If they even just punch into this Charizard for a two-shot, we're going to be so far ahead of them now. We will see more generators coming in. That one whiffs, actually. Oh no, does it go onto the Miraidon? Yeah, there's some energy there, at least. It's going to be an arm press for 160. We're just going to keep thinning here with Nest Ball. Looking for another red candy here, ideally, I think. Yep, which we do hit. Can also just get more switching outs for our Comfeys. But we're really in a commanding position now. We're actually going to be going ahead in the race, and we have double Charizard developed, which is like just a nightmare for Miraidon. If they're not tempoing out the Zard, I don't really know what they're doing in the matchup. We're holding on to Vacuum, which is pretty handy. We've got pretty much everything we need here. So let's close out the game in 2 attacks now, and the opponent's never closing game in 2 attacks, I would say. Can see the tandem unit for another Mareep. So they can come in and swing, but we're currently holding on to Vacuum, at least for this Miraidon in the active. If they take the prizes, I'm hitting 270 anyway, so they have to not hit this Charizard. Yeah, they're going to boss. Okay, that makes sense. It makes us have boss, which we do, so it's the right play. We top deck VIP, which is an easy target for this Vacuum. Just going to get rid of it now because the other one was already on Iron Hands. So pretty sure they never play more than 2 copies, but I have it with boss as well, so I'm able to just take out the Raikou. I've got double Charizard developed, and they have no real way of responding on this. 2 damage Charizard EXs is exactly where we want to be here. They've been able to tank, and we're, yeah, sitting pretty essentially here. Didn't even really need to cycle much with the flower selectings either. We held on to all of our dig if ever it was required. Looks like our opponent's taking their time with this one. I'll just cut to when they basically end their turn, because there's actually nothing they can do here. So a few fail searches of Artazon, Tandem Unit, and Ultra Ball. They eventually do just swing into us, but yeah, that's fine. Definitely a few emotes from them as well. Don't know why they're going to waste their own time, but whatever. Let's get on to the next game. The hand again isn't looking fantastic. We're up against the Mew though, which is definitely one of our stronger matchups, and we ripped the VIP, so straight away the hand is looking far, far stronger, which is great. I can retreat into one of these Comfey. We're just going to take the Zard here. Want to start working towards one of those. Not going to play the Artazon because we want to, of course, keep path in mind for our bounces. So the opponent is going to, wow, have a nice start their end. They have VIP and a few Genesect here themselves. They get a Cramheads also, so really, really good turn. They're going to judge us immediately, so it looks like they are going to be a DTE-based build of Mew. Going to see the Ultra Ball for another Mew. I think they also got rid of, yeah, already getting rid of a couple power tablets means that we know that our Charizard EXs, once they hit the field, they're going to be sticking around, which is a huge issue, of course, for DTE Mew. The opponent does end on path, though, so they are making life a little bit trickier for us. I'm going to take just another Charmander, get these developed on the board, because that's what this is all about. I'm going to take Ultra Ball here, so I have Candy Zard. I'm going to proactively get rid of Rod and Comfey here, just to have better odds of this Pokégear. And we do end up hitting Colress, which is nice. Ideally looking for Stadium Bounce, which we do hit with the Artazon. Little bit of an awkward one there, where I Ultra Balled away Super Rod, and then we had to Lost Zone a Rod, because we hit some really good cards. But we can still make this work. Yeah, so you can see the energy count is the one thing that's a little bit yucky for us now. So I'm having to pay retreats this Comfey. We do have a fire energy in the prizes, so that's one thing we have to bear in mind here. We can close the game with 1 energy remaining, though, because this Charizard EX is likely taking 4 or 5 prizes. So at that stage, all I need to do is Radzard, Gust, something to close out the game. So, should be okay here. The opponent's redeveloping their board. They have the Box of Disaster, actually, which is pretty good, depending on how many mods they can use here. Also judged us into a lower hand size once again. They're just going to reduce their hand size with this Vacuum to draw some more Genesect. Do you see Tablet's Path? So they actually do hit the 250, which is the perfect number. Their last 2 tablets, right? So they can try and activate Box into us. We are fortunate enough to hit Boss from the Judge, though, so I can just bring up a Mew EX here. You can see the 8 counters I'd be falling prey to. I was definitely shouldn't be going for Genesect, because I'm not hitting that guy for weakness. We are a Dark type, of course, so we have to take out a Mew here. But we're going down to 2 prize cards. You can see I proactively evolved into this Charizard. We were fortunate enough to get the Fire Energy from prizes as well, so I don't have to go down a Radzard Gust route now. I can just try and slow roll my next Charizard EX is going to be the strat here. But we just have so much time to accumulate this last Zard. The opponent's going to try and make it tricky with lots of hand disruptors, but still. Have to get rid of Vacuum, which is a little bit ugly there, but it was against Boss. And then we had to get rid of another Stadium Bounce because it was against Jet, because we're looking towards supporters here, right? We do eventually find Colress. We need to take that fire because we have 2 in the deck. It means I actually can pressurize with a Cram hit here. I actually go for a Vacuum into the Forest Seal Stone to try and slow down our opponent here. I basically just don't want them to have dig towards another Disruption supporter. That would be the ideal situation for us here. They do end up getting heads on Cram though, so they should be able to construct a good turn. Probably Iono being their best option here. They actually go Avery. We did get to keep Fire Energy in hand, which is nice. So I can at least get halfway to this Charizard EX being ready to go. The opponent's at 3 prizes now, but we know this Charizard is just so large that it's not going to be an issue. Actually, never get this Charizard out. I should take the supporter and switch guard here. Yep, we eventually correct ourselves with the Colress. The Radiant Charizard and the VIP are both bricks, but I can actually bench this Charizard if I want to. I could bait the opponent into Gust, because I'm holding on to switch cards. I'm also thinking about playing a switching out here just to protect this Comfey as well, just for more dig as we try and work towards this end game. It's taken us a while to get into this spot because we weren't able to bounce the path. But again, we just have so many turns here of safety, I feel like. We have 7 cards left in our deck, still a decent number of supporters. Like, we still have Roxanne, we still have Colress in here. Oh, but they have the Devo tool into Iono. This is actually a huge swing. We still have 1 candy, I believe, but this Devo is actually kind of massive. We're fortunate enough to have the Jet Energy here, so I can still Flower Select. Really need to try and find... Okay, there's our last 2 supporters. We really need to candy up here, because if I can't candy, I'm actually running out of the Fire Energies. So I really need to protect the Fire Energy at this stage. I might as well just swing the Vitality Band anywhere. I can Roxanne, and we do fortunately hit the candy in the top 6 rather than the bottom 3, because we were completely shuffling the deck. But now it looks like we should be pretty much checkmating from this stage. As again, we're just going to pass and wait to manually attach to this Charizard. They're going to try and trap us, but we have plenty left, and this rope will do the trick here. So we can get that final attachment in. It was a little bit scrappy because our Lost Zones were so weird with all of our Fire Energy and the double rod. So things got a little bit scrappy because of that, having to Ultra Ball a rod and then get rid of another. So it wasn't the cleanest game, but it worked out okay. As we go into another Mew. Ladder is honestly littered with Mew and Miraidon. Maybe it's just where I'm at in the ladder right now. But it seems like these are really like popular plays right now. At least on the ladder. Which makes Charizard look like a really, really good card. Just for what's being played right now. The opponent is once again playing... Well, we don't know if they're playing Double Turbo yet or not, but they have the early attachment of DTE. Okay, and then we see a path, so it's more than likely going to be DTE. So, we've just seen the game plan. We'll try it again. We have double Charmander this time. We immediately get Colress, which is nice. It is up against Charmander, which is a bit of a shame, but you got to do what you got to do. We're just going to let the Ultra Ball go here, just so I can keep Flower Selecting as much as possible. Radzard isn't, again, that important. We just have Charizard EX, which is pretty busted. We can just continue to thin out some cards here. Don't see a reason to not play this Cram. Yeah, we can throw the Cram down and just pass. The 110 poke really isn't worth it. Not to spend a switch card when these switch cards are essentially draw cards. We're holding on to Candy Charizard, which is nice. I don't currently have a Stadium Bounce, but the opponent actually has to vacuum that away for us. So they will have to probably redevelop it here. Oh, Grass Energy, though. Hold up. Oh, no, it's a Accelgor. The script has flipped. As the opponent is able to bench a Shelmet here. They do have a 3-prize Pokemon in the active, and they did get rid of Path for us, so I can just Candy Charizard pretty happily here. But yeah, there's definitely a chance for the opponent to respond on us. Get a Candy before any of the selects or the Colress, because we want to thin these Fire Energies out the deck to improve my draws off the top now. And yeah, we can rip the Colress here. We do hit Candy, which is nice. Because if we can get a second Charizard developed, we are sitting pretty. Going to take our boss's orders. We can just jet into the Comfey and keep drawing here. We'll just take another Candy. I'm going to play the switch so I can keep a pivot on the board. And then we're just going to do the Burning Darkness. So a big 3-prize turn. The opponent isn't drawing a huge amount of cards. But if they can get towards an Accelgor, they still need a few pieces. They need to, well, yep, start Power Tableting to get anywhere. They're going to start with the Judge Power Tablet. That's a really good start for them, honestly. They do evolve into a VMAX, though, just to help them draw cards. Excuse me. And, oh, second Power Tablet. So now they're working towards Grass Energy Accelgor here. You can see a big Cram flip. Does get Tails. Another Shelmet comes down, so they can draw some more with this second Genesect. They have one more Genesect and Ultra Ball now, so they should be able to get a Accelgor. There it is. So now it's just Grass Energy that they need to find for the Ninja Tornado. 5 big cards. See a Path, but no, just passing into the Shelmet means we should really be closing out this game quite nice. I can switch into the Comfey here and start looking for boss's orders, which is just game on the spot. And we're able to find it, so... yeah, not too bad. I mean, if the opponent was able to craft a Accelgor KO there, things get a little bit dicier, but I have Colress to try and find Candy again. I already had an energy banked on the Charizard, the Charmander, so I didn't need to bounce Path either as we go into our next game. Yeah, the Accelgor, I don't know. I don't know how good it is. It did win a lower age division in Gdansk, though, so it wasn't just an LAIC thing. It's carried on for a few players to high placements. We're up against another Miraidon. As I said, the ladder is just littered with these right now. But we have a really good start. Double VIP, so we can get this going. We're drawing into all of these Fire Energy, which really sucks because they want to be buried into the deck. If you keep them in the deck, then you can thin them out for free later. So we just end on double select pass here. But we got the VIPs, so I can't complain too much. Just want to work towards a supporter really for next turn. Staring down Miraidon is certainly scary. There are certainly builds that can be super aggressive with their iron hands. Let's see what kind of approach the opponent's going to have here. So they have an early Ultra Ball, getting rid of Lightning and Boss. It's an early Mew EX. There's Raikou as well. Oh, yep, well, there we go. There's Iron Hands and Arven, so it's pretty much the textbook Miraidon start. They're able to get Forest and the Generator here. Generator double hits the hands. See Beach Court attached. That's really scary. You can see the Forest Seal Stone, I imagine, for Generator here. Yep, it is going to be Generator. Oh boy, 5 energy turn 1. Yes, please. Okay. An early amp you very much. I'm quite happy to see the Beach Court at least. That's something. So we have a couple selects here to try and get towards the response. Boss isn't the supporter we're looking for. Ultra Ball is not bad. It means I don't need to hit Colress now. It means I could just hit Candy. Gives us a lot more outs. I am going to proactively Ultra Ball just to give ourselves a slightly better odds of hitting Candy or Colress here. And we do just hit the raw Candy. So we can just respond on the hands. And again, the opponent takes 2 prizes, but now we're responding. And there's also a monstrous Charizard in their face. So yeah, it seems like it's a lot more resource intensive for the hands to come in early. Quick tip as well, if you want to play against Charizard, if you are taking a single prize, you want to do it with hands. So the Charizard is capped at 210. It's actually way better for you to take the first 1 prize rather than the first 2 prizes against Charizard, because otherwise things like this will happen. Like, if you're taking a 1 prize, you should do it with arm press. Otherwise, you shouldn't be taking a single prize, because Charizard can knock out, like, the Raikou and stuff like that. So even with Defiance Band, they can get through a lot of things. It's literally only hands that can tank, right? Actually, no, with Defiance Band, even the hands can go down. So there are many situations where you just want to take the first 2 prize. Like, you want to let them get into Charizard and try and bump into them a bit. I think that's actually way better for the Miraidon than going all in on hands, because you'll see now that they're just, like, fizzling at this stage, like, scrambling around what to do. They've already got rid of so many generators. We see a Peony now, but, like, this is their final gambit, right? This is them going right down to the fumes. And, yeah, they just concede immediately, because for them to get through 2 Charizard EXs at that stage is just way too much work for them, and we're literally ready to attack 2 times. So it really doesn't take much to beat the Miraidon players if they come in early with hands. Let's get into our next game. We are up against Rapid Strike, by the looks of things, which is definitely like a super scary matchup for us. It's scary for the Arven Zards as well, and the Bibarel Zards. I think the Bibarel list has the best chance, because they have Charmeleons and Bibs. Mostly just Charmeleons, so a Devo player is less backbreaking, but that's what we're terrified of essentially here. The opponent has the VIP for double Intel V. They're going to get an early Rapid hit in. Oh, and they have the Rope. The turn 1 Surf KO. You hate to see that. Rope is not even always played in the deck list, so to see the Rope is pretty rough for us. And we Colress and hit just the 1 Ultra Ball to try and find a Charmander now. Really stunting our growth. We have a debate between Candy and Cram here. If I go Cram and hit a Charizard next turn, I can 2-shot this Intel, so you can see the logic behind going for the Cram poke here for tempo. Gonna also just throw down the Zard just in case we get hand disrupted. I'm holding on to Jet, so I'm not worried about any random trapping plays. It's very rare they play boss anyway. And we just get the poke in. See the VMAX. This hand is really not good for us. They're going to double gun down the Comfey and the Charmander, probably, you would think. No, going to go on to Radzard. That's interesting. Oh, because they have Boss. Man, they play Rope and Boss. That's so rare. That just doesn't have, like, so few lists actually play Boss in Rapid Strike. And that's really bad for us. It was Colress versus Nest Ball, which is a real bummer as well, because we basically want to be Colressing to find these Charmanders. That's why we're putting them back in for the Colress now. We do eventually hit a Charmander Candy Zard combo. We do have to sacrifice a few fire in the process, but I can come in with the Jet and get another Spitness in the end here to at least continue to pressurize this VMAX. But this is ugly. Really ugly start. Rope Rapid is pretty rare, and Boss is like very rarely played. Let alone found that early in the game. We're going to see some more double gunners now. This is a Lost Zone list that isn't playing switch carts. That's also a debate in the list. Jet is just so powerful that you can see why I'm playing the Jets, because they're just so efficient. And I play switches in addition to ropes because, of course, you're using Charizard EX so frequently that you want to be able to move that guy out of the way to dig for Comfey at times, but switch cart would definitely help our percentages in this matchup. So we see Tower of Waters, Artillery. Gonna grab the Karina for the top up. See the Karina. Another Remoraid comes down. Yeah, this is looking pretty dicey for us. Rapid Energy at least has to go on the active, so they are sacrificing a VMAX here. Because I do have Candy Response. So that's something. That's the good news. We've got rid of a few Fire Energy, so I am just going to go immediately into the EX here rather than into Comfey first. Yeah, we only had 2 Fire left, so it definitely makes sense. We can fire off the Roxanne as well. Obviously, the opponent has played 1 Karina, so there's maybe a chance that the Artillery can't get a supporter out here, and we could be in luck. But I am expecting a second Karina's focus. That is the standard count. So we'll see how they can bounce back here from the 3-card hand. They have Melanie. We see Artillery number 2. Obviously, they can only use 1 a turn anyway. Oh, they have Natural VMAX, so they can actually Rapid Strike search for the Rapid Strike Energy, which is certainly scary. Yeah, this is getting really rough. I probably need to get some more basics in the mix as well here. Yeah, it's going to be the GMAX Spiral for 140. Jet Energy is interesting. I can at least get rid of the Tower of Waters, which is nice. I'm going to try and re-establish another Charmander here, because this Charizard's under threat. We can get Cram down, Comfey down. Everything basically just has higher hit points than the Comfey that's already damaged, so may as well, right? I'm going to start powering up Radzard and just go for the Burning Darkness here for 270. So they can hit 140 into the active. They can maybe... Oh no, Radzam is exactly... Oh, we really don't want to see that, because that could really help them get to Yoga Loop range now. Energy Retrieval is good for Double Gunner, so they can get the Comfey in range. Well, Comfey's in range anyway, because there's damage that they can play with spoons. But this is really threatening now. Rapid Strike search for Medicham. Do they have the other Tower of Waters in hand? Oh man, they do. They've drawn basically no cards all game. They have 31 cards in their deck. They just have the specific cards every time. That 3-card Melanie draw was nuts. So we're going to see... Oh, yeah, and they can... Oh, man. Yeah, they can even spoon damage onto the active now that can put it in range of a GMAX Spiral for next turn. So they have just checkmated us here with the Clara. They can, yeah, loop the Comfey, and then they can spoons again and come in with their next GMAX Spiral to close the game with Artillery to search it out. So, yeah, impressive game from them. Pretty bad luck for us, but that's one of our worst matchups regardless. In like a usual case scenario, I always see us losing that, I think. I played a lot of games with this deck. I really enjoyed playing it, honestly, and I was generally climbing because there's so many Miraidons and Mews. So we have another game here. We see Pidgeot V, and now we see Pokégear. So I don't think it's Charizard. I guess it's more likely Control. Avery. Yeah, Avery's in Control, I guess. This Nest Ball will probably confirm our suspicions. Yeah, Nest Ball Mimikyu means we are up against Snorlax Stall here. Surprised I didn't go for Rotom, though. Rotom's so good. Rotom draw... Maybe they prized Rotom? So Vitality Band, as I said earlier, is a really big card for this matchup. It allows Charizard to actually hit 190 into Rotom, which is huge. So, definitely a big card. And it's not why I play 2. I play 2 so I have more access to the card in like the mirror and this, that, and the other, but just having access to even 1 copy is huge for this matchup. They're going to begin to Misfortune Sisters into passing to us. Yeah, they really should have gone Rotom, right, unless it's prized. We're just going to sit and swing for 40 for now. We have nothing better to do. Don't want to put anything else onto this board. The game plan is going to be use Radzard to get through Mimikyu and use Charizard EX to get through pretty much everything else. I'm just going to keep swinging for 40. The opponent does actually have many ways to move this Pidgeot, especially if they don't have Rotom developed. Their deck is so fat that we're pretty okay here. There's the option for us to Candy Zard, but I actually don't want to get rid of this Nest Ball because I want to use the Charizard EX to power up Radzard so I can get through Mimikyu as fast as possible. So I hold off on the Ultra Ball for a turn just so that I can have actually a decent fodder card in our hand. And we do, fortunately, top deck Comfey, which is perfect fodder here. So I can do the Nest Ball play for Radzard. So I'm threatening that into the Mimikyu now immediately. Because I didn't want to get rid of... Like, everything else is good in our hand, right? Energy cards, switch outs, and bosses. These are all, like, busted cards. But I can eventually, after many, many pokes, they had a pretty slow turn, I can eventually get through this Pidgeot. The Pidgeot mares, like, it could have been a Snorlax, obviously. It wouldn't have changed anything here. The opponent finally is able to Pokégear for Arven. That can probably get them, like, Nest Ball VIP. If they want to go Rotom. Let's see what they want to go for here. Hisuian. Ah, yeah, so Hisuian will be why, yeah, the Rotom was in the prizes as suspected. So pretty fortunate for us there. They do accompany it with Bravery Charm, though. So I have a few options. I could go Rope into the Rotom KO, but I do just want to deal with this Mimikyu so it's no longer a problem. I'm just going to take that out now. It makes use of the Jet and the Artazon, so if the opponent goes for like a random Sydney, I don't just get wrecked by that play. I wanted to proactively play these knowing that like the Ropes, the Switch, the Bosses, these can't be disrupted at all. Whereas the Artazon and the Jets, they're kind of on a timer, right? Because if the opponent just randomly has Sydney as their best play for the turn, it could have really caught us off and we could have lost some key resources. So gonna just take the Mimikyu out. Does give the opponent the chance to like continue instant charging, but I don't think it's a big issue here. I'm just gonna pass with Charizard here. I could have gone for a switch card, but the tempo like doesn't matter to us too much when we have so many good resources in the hand. I'm basically always taking our last 3 prizes here. There's no rush for us to commit to anything. Now that I've been Erica'd, I will play a switch to go into EX here. And we're really close to closing game here. We have Radzard that can finish off the Rotom. Picking up Vacuum from prizes is great as well. Gets rid of the Temple so the Jet can come back online. So we shouldn't have any problem here. Yes, the opponent had a slow start. Yes, they didn't have Rotom, but we didn't take a prize and we didn't have any Pokemon in our hand or anything else. So they actually couldn't have done any other plays into us, really. The only thing that made this like slightly easier was that I was able to get through a Pidgeot rather than a Snorlax, so it's like 1 turn saved, but again, just look at the resources that I still have available. I still have 3 Jets in the deck, I still have like 2 Vacuums. I had so many ways to win here, it was just absolutely insane. I'm actually going to go for the KO on the Luxurious Cape now as well. I don't even need to Gust, so yeah, you'll actually, with the amount of switching cards in the deck, 2 Rope, 2 Switch, 4 Jet, 4 Stadium Bumps, including 2 Vacuums that can get rid of Bravery Charms, and the Vitality Band, so Charizard EX can actually knock out Rotom. I think we're pretty okay in the matchup, honestly. An 11 energy total is a really healthy amount to attack with EX and still have enough for Radzard, so we should be really good into control, actually. That's another like big bonus of this archetype, is that you cover just so many matchups with the combination of Charizard and the Lost Zone stuff, the package of having a ton of switch cards in your deck. We're actually staring down another Radzard. Radzard's in a number of decks actually right now. It could be Enteival, it could be Mirror. Well, like you would expect, like an Arvenzard, I suppose. I'm able to get some selectings in. I'm already holding on to a Candy, so I'll just pitch one here. Hold on to a Switch instead, start ramping this Lost Zone. I really wanted to aggressively Flower Select, so I wasn't holding on to Supporter, so I want to work towards those. As we'll see more about what our opponent's playing based on this Ultra Ball. Okay, they get rid of Jammer and Charmeleon, so it's going to be a Arven build more than likely, I would expect. See Bidoof though. Okay, so it could be a TM Zard. See Town Store, which means it probably is definitely going to be TM Evo. Yep, it is going to be. They're going to play Iono, so we lose our Candy Zard, which is a shame. We have an interesting hand, though. We can't currently cram, but we're pretty close to a cram play. If we can find a switch or an energy card, and I can actually town store out Vitality Band, so I could 120 the barrel as well if I wanted to. The opponent has a 3-card hand, so that's looking like a really good play, honestly. So we get the free Vit Band. I get to shuffle the deck as well, which is fine. We can cram and then start playing these Pokégears. Honestly, I probably should have Pokégeared before the town store. Thinking about it now, because I wanted to find an energy card, right? So yeah, I probably missequenced that a little bit. Regardless, I can Pokégear towards Colress. That does find me energy. And I can retreat into selecting, and I actually do find the rope from that, so I can now make the Vitality Band play, which is pretty huge, honestly. Taking out the Bibarel is incredible for us here. Definitely trying to stunt our opponent's draw power. They do at least have a Charizard EX, so that's something. They can also start powering up this Radzard in the back. They can Town Store out of Forest, but they just respond here. We're holding a really nice, solid hand. Pretty good odds of getting candy here as well. So we can Colress. We do find candy, a couple candies actually, and some more energy cards. We can quite happily see the Vacuum go. We can rain out 3 energies here, so I can retreat the Comfey after selecting. And we do hit second Charizard, so I can candy up both Charizard now, and it means that we're just so much less vulnerable to hand disruption here. I can turn attach to the Charizard now as well, so we're in a really good shape, honestly. Just a punch here. We just have a much better board than our opponents right now. When they don't have the barrel online, they're kind of clunkier. I'm going to see Arvin from them to continue to develop this board. It's just going to be Nest Ball. Nest Ball for Charmander, probably, you would expect. Or they could take a V Pokemon and use Forest Seal Stone. No, it's going to be Charmander. Okay, that's fine. And they're just going to punch us back, which is nice. We're ahead on the attack rate, and I'm also holding on to Roxanne, which is really good. I think the only thing that's awkward is that we're holding on to double VIP, and they're like really clunky. I have no way to get rid of those at the moment. Really don't want those to get Iono'd like back into the bottom of the deck to find later. But we can just swing into the Charizard. Again, with no engine, there's no guarantees they have Candy Zard here. No, they don't, so they just swing with Radzard, which puts them to 3 prizes as well, which is excellent for us. Means I can deal with the Radzard, Roxanne them to just 2 cards plus top deck. And again, there's no guarantee of Charizard's coming back from that. I'm able to vacuum away one of these Vips, importantly, but also get rid of the town stores so they don't have easy access to Forest after this Roxanne either. So we're just in a commanding board position here. And we can come in with Zardiex and swing. And there really shouldn't be much of an issue from this stage. The opponent has 3 prizes still to take, and yeah, they just end up conceding. Going pretty well for us so far. This one's a mulligan, though. Like I said, I just played so many games today because I was really enjoying playing this deck. Honestly, I think I might be convinced to play it, honestly. It just feels really well positioned, and it feels like... I don't know, I feel like the Pidgeot is like rags and riches, whereas this one just has more like consistent cycle throughout the game. And obviously cycle's not the same as cherry picking, but it feels like you just get on the board a little bit quicker with this engine, which is nice. You have more single prizes that naturally flow in the deck. There's just a lot that I like about the list, honestly. We're able to select a couple times here. Get a couple Charizard banked in the hand. And yep, we're up against another Miraidon. It's going to be Mew start for them. They have the Squawk. They have Miraidon EX, so they can get some Lightning Chaps down. And there it is, the Iron Hands. They're going to begin to generate just a whiff on their first one. Into the Peony. They're all in. 2 more generators. Let's go. 1 hits. And the next one hits too, so they are at 4. And then they get the fresh hand with Squawk and Seize. There's the Bravery Charm. They got the whole package deal, and they amp you very much with the 280 hit points hands. Pretty busted. We're going to start with Colress here. We hit double candy, though. This is actually huge, because I get to thin the deck of 6 cards now, because I think all our energy are in the deck. Yeah, getting rid of 6 fire just means we have so many better draws now after this. And again, like, we've developed double Zard, which is monstrous. Even if I don't hit Vacuum here, the fact that I can hit 240 into this guy is just great. Oh, we do hit the Vacuum. I even prized 1 Vacuum, so that's actually a massive high roll, honestly. But sheesh, yeah, we can deal with the hands immediately. And again, the opponent's just in so much trouble now. They've spent 3 generators, and the hands goes immediately down. Oh man, and I have 2 Charizard powered up. Like, what is this? It's just not a fair trade now. They have so much work to do. They can Ultra Ball for a Flaffy here. Zapdos is the right idea. They want to try and weave in a single prizer if they can. I'm currently not... Oh, wow. Their last generator hits double. I think they kind of needed that to be able to get anything done here. But they are so limited in what they can do now in terms of launching big attacks. See a turn attachment to Miraidon. An Arven, okay. I can get Forest to hand. Yeah, Forest and VIP to hand. Just Electric Ball. Okay. That's fine. I'm going to go back into our thinning mission to just get rid of some pieces as we go. We'll develop Charmander. I can jet into Comfey here. I want to try and find a boss's orders, right? That's the ideal situation. Ooh, we hit Pokégear, which is nice. This gives us a shot. Yep, we get the boss's orders. So I can stay on a 2-2-2 prize map, which is exactly where we want to be. I'm going to go into the damaged Zard here, just so that if the opponent takes prizes, I know Charizard's able to get through any like Bravery Charms or any random shenanigans at this stage. And the hit points are high enough that obviously Zapdos is still not coming in and doing any work, so it's still forcing a 2-prizer into the active, which is amazing for us, and double Charizard honestly just feels like checkmate into them from this position. I'm really not seeing how they do much. Like, sure, they could swing with Zapdos and take a KO, but they only have turn attachments and Flaffy now for acceleration. I'm really not afraid of much. Yeah, and they end up conceding. The Miraidon matchup is just so good. So yeah, a lot of games today. A lot of the time, the opponent is going all in with Iron Hands, and I really discourage that approach. I get the idea. You want to go fast. You want to take those fast prizes and make me have the cards. But oftentimes, Charizard will have the cards, be it this Lost Zone engine, which can see so many cards, but also just the Arven build has so much guaranteed tutor for that. I feel like you should have much better mapping if you're playing Miraidon. Honestly, the Beach Court builds really don't have much hope into Charizard anyway. I feel like the list that I most recently had on the channel is Judge Pathy, and I think that has a better chance of actually beating Zard, which is a discussion for another day. But in general, I'm really enjoying Lost Zard. I think it's really pretty good, actually, and the Philippine tournament really highlighted that once again. You know, it had a really great performance at the Barcelona SP and was kind of overshadowed by a few other regional tournaments. But I do think there's a real reason to like this archetype in the format. Let me know your thoughts down below. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you tomorrow for another video. Cheers.